What is up, my viewers? Spang here, bringing you a World of Tanks gameplay commentary. It is going to be one of my matches in the Object 268, and yes, it is still 9.6 if you could not tell by the thumbnail. It is going to be standard battle on Murovanka, and hopefully, well, within a week or two, and ideally sooner, you will start seeing 9.12 and 9.13 replays on my channel as well. So, without any further ado, for this match, however, you can tell it is a tier 10 match. Obviously, given the fact I'm driving a 268, our team has a distinct tank destroyer advantage, although the enemy tank, definitely has a tier 10 advantage in the fact that they have one more tier 10. That evens itself out with us having an extra tier 9, I believe it is. Nope, the enemy team actually goes further down on the tier 9 as well. So, tier 9s are actually even, I want to say. No. Okay, I am completely wrong on all accounts. For some reason, I counted 6 enemy tier 10s, and my brain just completely derped. So, if we could just stop having me make mistakes for the rest of this commentary, that would be great, but we know we can't help that. This is obviously back in the days when I was in the Fugitive Clan, part of Evil Gaming. I am currently more or less on hiatus from any sort of clan activities. However, I'm good pals with Servex, part of Thugs, which is one of the primary clans in Evil Gaming, and he says, yeah, whenever you get back and you're done with kind of handling life stuff and you have the moment and you're going to get back into it, we got a spot open for you, so all good. But getting, really into this match and stop talking about things that aren't relevant to it, I suppose, I'm platooned up with Scotty McEngineer, who will, unfortunately, I believe, not be able to give me any more power because the 268, pretty heavily nerfed, not quite the monster it used to be. It seems a lot of tank destroyers got that kind of sort of deal. And I can't recall, in 9.6, was its... Yes, so its damage was nerfed from 850 to 750. Just one more nail in the kind of harsh coffin that has been done, Some people say the 268 is dead. I still enjoy it. I really do. The enemy team sending the vast majority of their forces, to include medium tanks, somewhat surprising, to the hills on the 1-2 line. Oftentimes you will see a lot of medium tanks going in the more maneuverable forest area simply because it gives them more options. I do get kill number 1 for my team. I recognize things are going to go very badly very quickly, and so I get a little bit defensive on base, staying way in the back, trying to use my camo value to its greatest effect, hiding behind bushes, and yes, it is a bit campish, but it is what is required at this point in time. It's only camping if the enemy team, if you're like sitting there for the vast majority of the match and not counting on the enemy team to come to you until things really go sideways. Here, I am actively responding to what the enemy team is doing, so it's a little bit different in my book, although I am sure some people will disagree, because there are some people who hate camping no matter whether it is justified or not. I consider this actually strategic positioning, or strategic ambush, as you may want to call it. It's definitely what I would refer to it as. Gives me good vision on both sides of this hill. As you can tell, some of the enemy tanks are deciding they want to go around, try and come on both sides of my team here, maybe get a flank, and I can see whichever side of the hill they decide to come on. This E75 is going to learn the hard way. 704 health gone. Although I am not driving the 704, I'm driving its big brother, to the 268, so I suppose that amount of damage would have been better served. Again, the replays proving to be a little glitchy, but they always have been. The T-54 getting spotted in the replay, certainly far after the fact that I noticed him in the game, simply because my tank turned that way to acknowledge his presence before the replay actually made him light up. And we've seen that in previous replays, so definitely nothing out of the ordinary here. Recognizing the E75 may be a viable target very shortly. Aiming in, and hopefully he backs up a little bit. With games this far back, of course, it's always going to be a little bit hard to recall. Lighting the T-57 on fire, and he will burn, baby burn, to death. And that is going to be kill number 2 for my team. Kill number 2 for me, helping our team towards its 5 kills, kind of shortening the gap a little bit with the 5 to 7. The hit points are actually close to even, so that, we got that going for us. Our tank destroyers are still alive, heavy damage dealing potential there, especially with the 183, who is my primary concern of keeping alive. I want to keep the, enemies like this 416 off his backside. 416 thinks he's kind of safe, and I say, yeah, good try there, little buddy, but you will pay for your insolence. TD Master Race, am I right? I'm right. Scotty also falling back to support our 4502B and the 215 Bravo as well. The IS-7 thinking he's going to do the same thing the 416 did, because, I mean, it worked out so well for him. I lose my shot as he rolls over the hill. I wasn't going to take that chance and lose my reload when I knew other targets, such as this 103, would drive out in the open, providing me with a very effective kill number 4. And at this point in time, 3,800 hit points of damage dealt, hoping the 140 will come over the hill and stay there long enough for me to reload. And he will not, unfortunately, diving back down into the hills. I do acknowledge there's an IS-4 and Tiger 2 coming up on me, this E-75 directly in front of me, but hiding behind the husk of the Patton, because he did learn somewhat that there are tank destroyers back there, but not well enough. He does get taken out, and I am finally spotted, Sixth Sense being the ever so useful perk that it actually is, and looking to get some cover behind in these hills in the back of our base. It is down to Scotty and myself. And he acknowledges, again, every time I'm platooned up with a clanmate or a friend, I am 90% of the time, in fact, probably 95, 99% of the time in TeamSpeak with them. I'm saying, hey, buddy, you've got to use your armor, because the 268, while it can bounce and be troll, will not reliably bounce. Kill number 6, Top Gun, and eliminating that E100, getting me 4,600 hit points worth of damage. The IS-7 is hurting, but how much? Well, he is at 28 hit points, a one-shot. The IS-4 still at full health, so certainly going to be some good damage farming there. And the 140 also near death. I mean, I could pretty much ram him and he would die if he hits me at a high enough speed. The IS-7 hiding behind all the husks of dead tanks. And I see his tracks there. I'm wanting him to back up a little bit, but the artillery does get the kill on him after I spot him quite effectively, at least effectively enough for him to get eliminated. Now, it is important to note that it is the tier 9 artillery piece, the 140 on the hill there, and by that, I mean, it's not the autoloader French right here, finally taking some of my first damage of the game, but bouncing a lot of it. This is exactly what I meant when I said the 268 had some troll armor. And the IS-4 way back there on base. Unfortunately, enemy artillery firing on my position as well. And I'm kind of starting to take a beating here. So I will start to back up once I am kind of secure in my feeling that Scotty's got base right here in TeamSpeak. He is most likely telling me, hey, I got this for the moment. You go handle things and maybe not die to the 140. Scotty's got my back, however. Yeah, I'm like, man, I got to take care of these artillery pieces before they are the death of me. But at the same time, can't exactly get too aggressive on the enemy team while our base is under threat. Now, I can't recall how many kills Scotty gets this match. I cannot even recall if we win. All I know is that I do rather well for myself, and that is why it is saved. So we will... we'll find out together. For me, it'll be more of a remembering thing. The Tiger 2 getting eliminated, and the IS-4 apparently coming off base to chase down Scotty, I assume, or maybe come after me. It's really hard to say at this point in time. And we still have artillery support. The enemy IS-4 still has artillery support, and I think he is still at full health. Nope, he has lost about 700 hit points, a little less. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I can get a little bit sneaky, get to these houses for some cover, and get some side or rear shots on him. Maybe not die a horrible death to artillery. And the 4502 saying, yay, check it out in Sector J6, because, that's about where he was last spotted. Maybe he sees some buildings getting run over. I don't know. Because, you look at it, the IS-4 was spotted in Sector J5. So maybe, yep, the IS-4 was running back to base. I cannot recall if I get spotted, and we will learn together very shortly if I do. Scotty getting a free shot on there, artillery unfortunately missing, and me not exactly wanting to expose myself to get wrecked by artillery. The IS-4 will drive in front of me, and I will get kill number 7, killing spree on that IS-4. Unfortunately exposing myself and running for my life, quite literally at this point. The IS-4 is saying, fuck this team, and I have to say, yep, you're not unjustified in that feeling. However, you know what? Let's take that with a grain of salt, because the IS-4 went to the forest and sat back for a good portion of the match while his team pushed the 1-2 line and was really ineffective for the vast majority of this game. simply because he wasn't engaging anything. He was being very cautious even after he spotted nothing, because he thought all the tank destroyers were on the 8-9 line, probably looking at him, and he thought if he drove out in the open he's gonna die. But at the same time, because he was so overly cautious and not engaging and pushing that flank, which quite frankly was left wide open, I mean, he is one of the reasons that his team did not, push it together. He had been pushing with that Tiger 2 on that line much earlier as his team was coming on us and shooting me, shooting Scotty, so we couldn't support our forces. Our 183 probably would have died. A whole bunch of our guys on the 1-2 line probably would have died a lot quicker, and then we would have been in all sorts of trouble. Scotty getting us brothers in arms. I don't recall if that actually stays as a thing. He might die here very shortly. Yeah, there he goes to that bat chat 155-55, the tier 9 French arty. So unfortunately, we get denied our brothers in arms, but I'm like, I will avenge you, my friend. I can't recall if he pings on the map. I should have seen it. No, he's just saying fuck you to that arty, and I'm like, don't worry, buddy, I'll find him, I'll get him. And I'm sure he's running for his life right now, although he doesn't know that I was with him, because I wasn't spotted. We saw no sixth sense go off. So it is certainly up in the air whether or not the enemy artillery is running, thinking he's going to evade me. Although for all he knows, he could just be running into me and trying to shoot at me on the move and all that fun stuff. Not exactly the most favorable circumstances for him. Granted, if he's hiding in a bush somewhere, sitting still with that turret of his, he certainly has a better chance of derping than most artillery pieces do. But of course, if you're new to the game, new to the terminology, derping simply means you have a big cannon and you big cannon, low accuracy, a lot of high explosive damage, and you fire at someone more or less point blank or short range, and that's pretty much the definition of derping in World of Tanks. At least as far as I understand it, and I think I understand the concept pretty well, being somewhat experienced. At this point in time, I mean, I could die very quickly to this enemy artillery, trying not to get overly aggressive, and recognizing that, well, at this point in time, may have to capture the enemy base, simply due to the fact not going to play a game of trying to find the enemy artillery piece. Although he does find me coming out of his hidey hole, we both kind of notice each other at the same time. I just do auto aim and avenge Scotty's death. So a very solid match for me, over 5,700 hit points of damage and 8 kills. But let's go to those post-game stats and see how well everyone else did. And looking at those post-game stats, we all kind of saw these medals coming, or at least 3 of them. And those 3 are going to be High Caliber, Radley Walters, and Top Gun. But Tanker Sniper less so. But in essence, if anyone was really paying that close of attention to the match, they would have been able to distinguish the fact that I was shooting at tanks from that distance with a high enough accuracy rate to really make that medal. But it is certainly not as simple as the old sniper medal from back in the earlier games, the earlier days of World of Tanks was to get. So we got Bruiser, Duelist, Arsonist for lighting that one tank on fire, and Fire for Effect. Earning ourselves Mastery Badge First Class, and being quite effective. Now, I am kind of curious to see how well the enemy tanks did. So that enemy artillery doing pretty well for himself. I think a good chunk of his damage was probably to me and Scotty. I know he shot me at least once or twice, and Scotty got eliminated by him, so not too unlikely on that. And that Object 140 doing quite well for himself as well with 3,700 hit points of damage. Of course, I outranked him by about 2,000 hit points of damage, definitely doing very well. Scotty doing better than him as well, and that VK4502B, a very solid tier 9 heavy tank. Some would argue as effective, if not more so, than the mouse, just because its lower front plate is so hard to penetrate ever since it was buffed. But the 3 of us really doing a lot to carry the match. The E4 doing a solid job as well. Our artillery not pulling any, not slacking at all either. And the 183 doing all right even after I saved him. And it looks like we actually had 2. Okay, so we had 2 4502Bs. That certainly is helpful. I wonder how much damage they soaked up. Let's see. Does it say damage blocked by armor? So 790, not so much there. Damage blocked by armor, 7,300. I think someone was being quite effective. I'm going to go out on a limb and say someone was being quite effective. He definitely did a lot to help us win that match. Did I absorb any into my armor? Not officially, but we all saw some of those shots hit me and hit, you know, modules, you know, tracks and such for no real damage. So certainly did absorb some shots into my spaced armor and tracks, but nothing actually deflected. But I did get some damage upon detecting, not a whole lot, and damage from a distance of 300 meters contributing towards that tanker sniper. Definitely a good chunk, over half of my damage actually. Some 0 damage contributors, our GW Tiger not really being that effective, our 416 not being effective, our Type 62 not being effective, but the enemy team had some of that as well. Now, I can't recall, I think I killed the T-57 heavy and not the T-54A1, and I am correct in that assumption, killing that T-49. More or less the Sheridan in World of Tanks, because it does have that big cannon. It's as close as you're going to get to a Sheridan in World of Tanks. Being my first kill when he decided, hey, I'm going to run up right to the enemy base and go on this hill and be completely visible for any tank destroyer that's looking over here to shoot and kill. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate the free damage, the free kill, and while I'm sure your scouting information was probably the reason your team was so aggressive on that flank, it led to your death, and honestly, it led to a lot of their deaths. So, it's hard to say whether or not he made the right play, but I've seen some people, and some of you guys have sent in some amazing replays where T-49s really just wreck house, so certainly could have been more effective. And I mean, you can see everything going on here. Some people doing quite well for their tanks, some people doing what you would expect of their tanks, and some people really underperforming for what you would think their tanks are capable of. And that's just the way World of Tanks is always going to go. So earning myself a good chunk of credits, even would have made profit with all the damage and all the shots I fired if I wasn't running premium. So that's quite an accomplishment on tier 10 when you get that, you know, heavy of a beating done to your vehicle and you fire that many rounds out. And for the record, 10 shots fired, 9 of 9 for direct hits and penetrations, and total hits received 5. According to this, only one of them was non-penetrating, but we probably know a little bit better than that. I'm not quite sure. This doesn't distinguish between, you know, artillery shots that were splash damages and such like that. So I wasn't exactly keeping that close of count, but it really doesn't matter. Getting a good chunk of experience as well for my times 2. Very happy with that. Never going to complain. But certainly a solid match in the Object 268, just showing it's not as neutered as everyone thinks it is. You just gotta be a little more careful with it. But that is going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider giving it a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And if you've got anything you want to share or suggest in reference to my channel or videos, comment section below. And if you've got a replay you think I should do a commentary on, well, there are instructions on how to submit in the description below, as well as a whole lot more there. But until next time, this has been Spang, and clearly I am just oh so professional.
MLG Dynamo.